Hey everyone, this is the Manips and Sips podcast, a virtual edition. Figure we start something new with everything going on with quarantine. I'm Dr. Jeremy Boyd, and this is my partner in crime, Brandon Cruz. How's it going?
I'm good, Jared. Thanks for asking. Thanks for kicking us off. Yeah, we've made some changes, or trying to attempt some changes in the way we deliver our podcast. We're gonna add a video or visual component as well. So hopefully you guys like it. And now you guys get to put some faces to some voices if you guys have been listening. But Jared, what do you got on drink today?
Today I'm going to start off in bringing things back with my personal quarantine project. Everyone's been doing something to keep themselves busy. I started brewing beer. This is a Centennial Smash IPA. I've had about 4 or 5 of these. Pretty good.
Yeah, how many? How long does it take to brew?
It takes 2 weeks it takes a couple hours on brewing day. Then it has to kind of sit and ferment for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you bottle it, and then that's 2 more weeks. So the whole process is like 5-ish, 6-ish weeks.
All right, so that's about the time we've been on quarantine, about 5, 6 weeks. So how much do you have?
It
How
comes
much have
at
you made?
48 bottles.
48.
48 bottles, which apparently is a good yield. They can get up to about 50.
Okay.
So yeah,
Solid.
it was pretty good. I did it with a patient of mine, a friend of mine, and yeah, it was so right before he's not allowed out of the house now. So hopefully we're gonna brew another batch today of a
Your
different beer.
patient's not allowed.
Yeah, his wife is like, nope, you're not allowed out. So that was his last hoorah before he's been quarantined to his house with his kids. So um, and true Jeremy fashion, always have a cup.
Cheers.
Cheers. And this one's the Trust Trifecta cup for made by clients up here. It's my beer, and I drink out my glass.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's about it. But
I
yeah,
like it. That's awesome, man. I have Buchanan's here, but I have my glass. Pursue PT, you guys can see that. A student gifted that to me upon his completion, which I love this glass. It's my drinking glass now. So I've been drinking out of that. I have not been doing as much fun stuff like you. I feel like I'm boring compared to what you've been doing. I've been on the grind. I've been treating as much. I had to close down a clinic for a few weeks. I know you stood open, but I've used this time to try and learn some other skills. And I think we need, and hopefully other PTs and just other people in general have used this time to come out of this quarantine with a different skill set or an added skill set. So that skill set for me has been the digital marketing realm. I have been putting many hours a day in for the past few weeks on various things in terms of digital marketing, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, copy, platforms. I'm in the process of moving our courses on to online courses. So hopefully we can reach a greater audience with our courses and help more PTs out. In the process of making a manual therapy membership as well, finishing up those videos. So really just trying to use this time to create a different branch of the business and what we do here, another component and stuff we've talked about. And for one reason or another, you and I tend to bite off more than we can chew at times. So I use this time to learn that stuff. So hopefully it'll be more fruitful for us in the future. And hopefully other PTs and other professionals have used this time to not just watch, what's that, Tiger Style or Tiger Life or whatever?
Tiger King.
Tiger King. So,
Did you watch it?
Hopefully people haven't just watched Netflix all the time, but have used this time to learn some other things, other skill sets. So that's what I've been up to the past couple weeks.
This is good, and that's going to be kind of a good segue into what we're going to be talking about today with our try and improve your manual hands-on skills. I know definitely the physical therapy profession has been hit hard by this. For the most part, we're either a close profession or a hands-on profession. Hopefully, we're still mostly hands-on in our outpatient settings. But that I know a lot of PTs have unfortunately either been furloughed or been fully converted to telehealth, which they're not knocking it or anything like that. But you do get a little rusty with your skills. It's something, you don't use it, you lose it, at least speed and efficiency. Brandon, you were saying you felt a little rusty doing your first eval in a couple of
Yeah,
weeks, right?
I was off 4 weeks, and I had an eval. My first patient back was an eval, and I found myself not in the same flow and forgetting to assess some things that I normally would have assessed. And I was like, why did I forget that? And I had to go back and do it. And that was after 4 weeks. So I can only imagine the people in the profession who have moved on to maybe some upper management roles and don't really treat. And I mean, your skills go away pretty quickly. So now having that, I am kind of vowing that I have to stay in the game at some capacity, even if it's like 1 day a week, down the line, as we build our businesses and stuff. Like that's a skill set you need to have. And especially for us, we teach courses. We need to be able to be, crisp with our skill set, so we can help better teach and explain things to others. So yeah,
Absolutely. And if you think about like your time in PT school, I mean, more often than not, if I talk to students, if I know from my own personal experience, who is our favorite professors were the ones who are probably involved in the clinic to some degree,
yep.
because it's relatable. You get they pick up on their tricks and those sort of things if you've been out of it for a while. I know in some of the bigger corporations, some of the, I guess, staff therapists were the first to be let go, and the directors or the people who are more management style are now forced to see everyone. So yeah, if you get a little rusty, won't be as good. But hopefully what we provide today, we can talk about some ways to get better at hands-on, even if
Yeah,
you're completely by yourself.
yeah. I was just going to add into manual therapy. I mean, obviously, we're kind of hinging this around the pandemic with what's going on, but I think a lot of people avoid manual therapy because it's hard. They're not good at it. They're not sure. They lack the confidence, maybe. So hopefully, these little tidbits that we go over will help you gain confidence, gain your speed, so you can become more confident in doing it, and also more effective and efficient doing it. So you get those wins, those success stories of when you do it to patients, and then that's going to lead you to do it more. I mean, there's this whole anti-manual therapy movement. I know we've talked about this before, where therapists don't want to do it, and you're just shortchanging yourself and the client really at the end of the day by not doing it, because maybe not every patient needs it, but there are patients who need it and will benefit from it if you do it the right way. So it's in our scope. It's one of the things that patients come to see us is for that hands-on component. Let's not jip them away because you haven't taken the time out to learn it or to become comfortable with it.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of people believe it's, depending on the research they're looking at, that sort of thing, it needs to be either be exercise and education or manual therapy, and that's not what we're saying with any of this. It should be and physical and manual therapy and it should work in conjunction or adjunction with what you're doing. It doesn't need to be just manual therapy. And I think that's where people kind of twist and unfortunately abused evidence, even though there's so much evidence supporting manual therapy, especially manipulations. So
yeah, you said it with the manipulation part. I think there's a difference between joint-based manual therapy, and obviously that's more of our expertise and bread and butter and bias, if you will. But a lot of people who knock manual therapy, they're probably referencing, I shouldn't say probably, some of them are referencing soft tissue, but they don't make that delineation of soft tissue between joint-based, and it just gets lumped together. There's many variations of manual therapy in what you do and how you do it, whether it's a mobilization versus a manipulation versus neurodynamics versus soft tissue versus ASTIM or instrument assisted versus cupping. I mean, we can go on and on. Release techniques, ischemic release techniques, whatever you want to call them. So they're not all the same. They don't all carry the same weight and effectiveness. So I think when you're hearing that manual therapy sucks, well, let's take a step back and see which ones are we talking about? Which ones does the research actually support, and which ones don't the research actually support?
like visceral manipulation.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. When's that course coming out?
Not by me.
So yeah, I mean, I think we should probably get started into some of the techniques, and unless there's some other updates going on, we're hoping to put up some with this, put up some more videos of us doing things to kind of help out people along, and yeah, should be fun. But which technique you want to start off with first, there, Brandon?
I know some of the things that we've talked about, and we talked about it in our courses. I even been presented, and you were there, kind of assisting at AOMT, where we were talking about ways to improve confidence and just your skill set with manual therapy. And I think one of the big ones is the slap game. So I think, Jared, you have this video queued up. If you don't mind sharing that with everybody, and I'll just kind of talk. And it's just really to develop hand speed. It's a nice icebreaker we use in the course too. So people kind of just have a little bit of fun with it and loosen up and relax. But it's also to work on hand speed, pronation, supination, and things like that. So, Jared, I'll take it away.
And you see this bad boy?
I can see it.
All right.
I'm going to answer for everybody. I'm sure they can see it too. So.
All right. Wind that bad boy. And this is, a whole class for one of our courses, and you can watch the action.
So there's different ways here. Some people are using both hands. Some people are doing one hand at a time, but you get the gist of it. And it's something really, like I said, an icebreaker, kind of get you in the feel of having those quick hands and working on pronation and supination. So that's usually one of the fan favorites in our courses, but that's something you could easily do at home with a significant other, a sibling, a parent, whatever the case may be.
Good bonding time, as you can see, unless you're the ultra competitive type. Best person I ever met in this game was my grandma. She was around. She would hold it onto one ear, and she was morbidly obese, diabetes, but her hands were quick. I was like, you'd be a master manipulator if you're a PT, but She you couldn't beat her. She played mind games with you. Barely,
Good on mind tricks, man. Had you triple guess on yourself.
So yeah, definitely a quick one. Like in the training realm where you're doing sort of like lifting or anything like that, Olympic lifting, the classic coach saying, no matter what level you are, is like get tighter. In terms of this, it's you can always get faster. Even when you think you're fast enough, you can always get quicker. So this is definitely a good one to kind of build up some speed.
Speaking of getting faster, I had one of the courses I took. I was partnered up with a gentleman who probably had about 20 years experience under his belt, and I was, I don't know, 4 years out, but I was pretty good. I thought I was better than what I was at the time, but thought I had some fast hands. We had just started teaching our courses. I think we had one under our belt, or maybe we were a couple months away from teaching our first one. Mm-hmm. But I was working with him, and he was just like, your hands are slow. I was like, what are you talking about? So I had to, initially it's like or at least I took it as like, what do you like defensively? And I was like, wait a second, I'm here. I'm at this course. This guy has, X amount of experience and taken, X, Y, and Z, and he has really soft hands, really good hands. I was like, he's trying to help me, though he was pretty blunt about it, for a guy I'd met 30 seconds prior. And I used that time to take it as some feedback, and I worked on my speed. So I came back with some drills, and the next drill I learned we're going to show right now, which is the banana trick.
All right. You should tell them the Cam McDonald story too. When you became an AOMT, and he said he's just like,
I'm blanking right now.
Didn't you manipulate him or something like that? And he's like, it can be faster. And here I was thinking, I was just like, I thought you were pretty damn fast, dude.
Cam? I'm trying to think if he said that.
He's the one who proctored you, right?
Yeah. That, or my test out you're talking about.
Test out, yeah.
Yeah. He said during my practical, actually that was a mid-thoracic, and he was not mid-thoracic. Mid-thoracic rotational technique. And in that, I mean, I passed and everything, but he was just like, yeah, you could be a little faster. And this is now 4 years later, and graduating a fellowship program, and there's still room for improvement.
Always.
We never reached that pinnacle or that mountaintop like we probably set out to be. So there's always room for improvement, no matter what skill level you're at.
Yep, absolutely. So moving into the banana game or the banana trick. I guess I'll show a picture of or
Show
video.
the video first, and then
Yeah. So this is one of my undergraduate interns, PJ, who's now in Rutgers DPT's program. Oh, I should actually share my screen first. So wearing a nice shirt, I would say. And
there it is. Nice clean break.
Yeah.
This is what year is he in? Second year PT student?
I don't know if he's still considered in his
First year.
They started in the summer, so I guess he's just probably wrapping up full first year because he started in the summer.
First year. Wow.
Yeah. So at that time,
I mean, he
still was a first year. He was a winner. It was just
first semester. I mean, that was December. So
yeah. So
he did really well. He had one of probably the better hands in the class as a first year PT student, which was great.
Yeah, he was an impressive kid. I'll give him a shout out. I rarely gave him one, but he would see me manipulate all the time, and we we almost have a class system because my practice is in the college town, so we have shatterers. People are just trying to get some hours. We have
to get into PT school.
Yeah, that's the basic. People are just trying to get a feel of the profession. Then we have some kids who are in like health and exercise science that need professional development hours. Okay. So there you got some school. And then we have Rowan interns, so undergraduate health and exercise science or human performance. And then we have our SBTs, and then we have residents, and then we have entry-level therapists in our clinic, and then there's me. So we ranked them all and that sort of stuff. But he was just an undergrad. And, he was able to kind of expand what he's learned more than most of the undergrads, but I didn't teach him manipulations at the time. And I came in, I think I was doing a handstand push-up or attempted and ate it. And he, they came in all crooked and that sort of stuff. And he's like, I think I can help you. Yeah, yeah, I did. I was like, I need my neck manipped. He's like, I think I could do it. And sure as shit, he's just got me down on the table just from observing me. And it wasn't the cleanest one, but he got it. I was like,
that's great.
He's the chosen one.
He's going to be ahead of the curve, man.
Yeah. And then from that day forward, I was like, let me teach you everything I know of any of the manips and stuff like that. So definitely an awesome kid. He's going to be a great therapist one day. I'll show you off the table. There's two styles. I guess you could just do a quick flick like this. You want a little bit more of a kind of greener, riper banana. Hopefully this works out, make a fool of myself on I guess semi-live TV. Or you can go off into the table. Brandon, can you see the table there?
Yep, we're good.
Just
he's getting serious, taking off the ring.
Yeah, dude. Can't get banana guts on there. So I'd go off the side of the table, just like I would be driving a force if I was doing a quick screw thrust or anything like that. So I'm getting it set up, and I'm just going to drive my force straight down, just like PJ. And ready? Oh,
that's too. I think that's too ripe. That's why you need a little yellow. You need yellow.
A little bit yellow,
and the green ones, the skin isn't ripe. There you go.
Yeah,
you can't break through the skin. The skin's too ripe. I should say.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. You need a yellow one.
Yeah. You need that fine ground before it gets brown and smushy.
Yeah. But the green, it's too. So I'm Spanish. And it's like trying to crack one of those plantains, man. It's just too tough.
But you do get rewarded with a banana right afterwards, which is always good.
Get your potassium in.
Yeah, dude.
So
it broke through, but you can feel the skin held it.
I don't know my fruit, but there's probably some enzyme in there that hasn't quite ripened yet. All right. So going off of what you just said with the that technique kind of carrying over to the P to A thrust, the thoracic manipulation, which I think is taught usually first and often the most aggressive, but there is still chance of injury with that. Just I'm not a disclaimer, but just to educate you guys, I mean, there you can fracture ribs, vertebral body fractures, because a lot of times manipulators are, are taught it's the safest one. So you just substitute your lack of speed with increased force, and we don't want to do that. Another drill, since I'm here in my clinic, I have a table behind me. I'm going to readjust the camera so you guys can see the table, and I'll kind of show you another trick you guys can do. I did this a lot in the beginning through residency when we're together on just practicing my forces and grades with the foam pad. So, Jared, be my eyes. I'm going to try and adjust everything here.
Got you.
I'm trying to bring the...
I tell everyone I'm also drinking Bailey's in my coffee, so I'm doubling the sips.
Oh, you're double fisting here.
Mm.
So I think that should be good. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. But the microphone is another thing. We invested in microphones, guys. Look at that.
Lighting and everything.
So if you guys can see, I mean, there are a couple ways to work on skin traction or Texas twists, but I won't really talk about that right now. We're just talking about the foam pads here. So if you look at your nail beds and you apply some pressure down into the table, the nail bed changing color and going to white is said to be the amount of force you roughly need for grade 1 mobilization. Okay, so that's probably what you could work on, but then pressing further into it about halfway would be in theory your grade 2. If we go all the way down to, I guess, the wooden board or metal board on the other side of this cushion would be our end range technique through here. And then if we come off that a little bit, that's probably like our grade 3. So I would suggest just working on coming in and out at each range. And obviously this is nice and cushiony. It has some nice spring back to it, but there are going to be some patients that have, less recoil in their joints. Those stiffer older patients. So you're not going to be able to get as far. But in general, just being able to kind of understand where you are in the depth of this pad will help you understand your mobilization grades. And then when it comes to your manipulations, you come down, you sink all the way down as so, and then thrust. See how I didn't, and this is what we see a lot of new manipulators, is they sink in, they come out, and then they drop down. That's where you're going to get a lot of the injuries, the strains, the sprains, any fractures, a patient not liking it. Then that makes you feel bad, and you're like, well, I'm not doing this technique again. I hurt the patient. Well, If you're applying too much force like that, that's why. If you sink in and then just thrust, right, that's what we want. So using the table is probably the best way to work on that and work on your speed as well. And it gives you a feedback, instantaneous feedback. Did I come up out of it? You can also record yourself too. Stick your iPhone there and see if you came off and then back on. But that's a nice quick way to learn. You could do that in the clinic. You don't even need a patient. In your downtime, lunch hour, you have 5 minutes before your next patient, practice on your plinth, and that's over a course of time, you'll definitely get better.
Yeah, and I think the bag trick that I'm about to show can also help out with that. And I think a lot of it is especially with those new manipulators or entry level or students, it's the theory of like, I got to build up my momentum to make this thing crack. Like I push on enough people, I mobilize enough people, and nothing goes. So I need to build up momentum, and that's when they pull off, and then they like drive more force than they probably need to, and then it becomes a high velocity, high amplitude thrust versus high velocity, low amplitude. So just something I pretty much see with almost all our students. But again, probably the most common technique that we see taught in schools. I mean, that's All right, there's your bread and butter. Just do your screw mobilization or manipulation. But same sort of principle. I'll show with the bag. You just ideally you'd have a bigger bag, but I've gone to the store and got it. But this is just a standard small sandwich bag. If it was a little bit bigger, it would be greater. But I'm not going to the stores as much. I filled it up with a little air, something that I use to kind of help out my manip. And then same kind of rule. You can play around with it. You can start to feel it build up with air. And then you can kind of practice your moves. And if you're doing like your grade 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, the air shouldn't pop out of the bag. And then, if you're going for that grade 5, you're kind of screwing in and then you push through. And I've kind of released all the air, unfortunately. But hold on, let me blow this puppy out.
I was hoping for a big pop like those.
It did right before.
What'd you say?
It did right while I was playing around in the kitchen.
I
That's when I filled up the bag last. So we're here. Elbows are straight, and that's it.
Nice.
That was the grade 5. Quicker thrust there, but
that's a good one. I haven't seen that one, so
that's just something I kind of played around with once we played around with like tables and stuff. And then you actually get to hear the pop, and the same thing. It wasn't I eased off. I just stayed there and then added that quick thrust. You could, and something we always teach in our course is that thrust shouldn't be coming from our arms or anything like that. It should have, and I did not show it there, but it should be a whole body drop, and that way we're using our mechanics and sparing our bodies and those sort of things. But again, that way you can at least get the pop, which is kind of cool.
Cavitation.
Yeah, right. So non-animated cavitation, but so those are just some good ones, especially for those more P to A style mobilizations. All right, what's the next?
There's a towel whip one, which is, I would say that's more applicable to extremity manipulations, which more like the scaphoid lunate or just corporal manipulation, or your infamous cuboid whip, spelled Cuboyd, his last name. We have renamed that, and it will catch on in the decades to come. We're going to make a movement for that.
There we go.
But so towel whip, that's basically if you played sports and you're in a locker room, you're a locker room guy, you've probably had it done to you, or you've done it to others, where you just whip up the towel. I should probably go get one. And then you have a quick snap of the wrist. So that one you can get feedback against the wall or an object. You don't have to actually physically whip a person. If you are a female, perhaps, and you didn't play sports, perhaps you had an older brother who did it to you. So you probably know what we're talking about. Jeremy, give me a second while I'll go get a towel. I can just demonstrate that real quick.
Yeah, we'll just be here drinking my beer, just starting to kind of finish up here.
All right.
Here we go. You've done it to me.
What's up? Now I'll angle the. Let me clear the stuff out here.
Yeah.
I actually did not think we are going to do this one.
Look at that on the side here.
Against the wall. Hopefully you can see that.
Yeah.
So you wind up a towel like so. You got to hit the wall. Nice loud.
You heard that first one, everyone? That was.
It's that motion. So you're letting it go and then coming back. So it has to be quick hands. Again, those probably apply more towards the whip manipulations, but again, just get you in the habit of that flicking motion. So hopefully, if you guys haven't seen that one or thought of using that in practicing your skill set, hopefully that works for you guys.
It's awesome. So yeah, they definitely want that crack of the whip almost sort of thing. And as I saying, I've been on the receiving end of Brandon's towel trick, and yep, you definitely can feel the speed going through. So where I used to do it, or I tried doing it to my brothers when I was a kid, it would just be like and
You're asking for a beatdown right there, especially you. You're the youngest.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was they had it and they had that trick down. I didn't and tried to fight back, and it was poor. It was a lot of welts on me back in the day. I guess another one, it'll be a little bit more difficult, but also kind of work on that little flicking motion. Is what you taught me is the towel paper trick. Works best in the bathroom, with it being actually held down too.
Yep.
But can you actually?
Is that paper towel or toilet paper?
Toilet paper.
Oh, you probably have plenty of that as everyone's stocking up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I felt real bad. So for our 1-year anniversary, I guess the
Your paper gift. Please tell me you got
gifts.
Yeah.
So no, this wasn't me. I think I listened on the trip and stuff like that. Her parents gave us pretty much a good multiple year supply of paper towels, toilet paper, and tissues. So it was like everything went to the shit, and everyone's like getting toilet paper. I'm like, I'm about to start selling this stuff.
Got it. Yeah.
Why? But
supply and demand.
Yeah, it's
that's funny.
But me eating more, being at home, putting it more to use. But yeah, so I'm gonna try and demonstrate it here. But essentially, what you're
there you go.
That it's gonna probably roll. So
yeah, just, you hold it with one hand. Hold it with your left hand.
Do my block?
No. Yeah, the other way. There you go.
There we go. So put a little tension on it. And this is, again, good for the cuboid whip, because this is one where you're going to start to flick up and then a quick one down. A little bit better with two hands. That's why if it's anchored into whatever in your bathroom, then you can work at both hands doing that motion, which is what you need to do for the cuboid, cuboid whip, my whip. But you go and you bring it and snap it down. But I'll try and do it here. So here, put a little tension on it, like you're doing a little distraction force. Not enough to rip at the perforations, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to try and get ripped at the perforation. Oh. Well, and that's what happens.
It's not being held by anything.
Yeah.
I've actually never done it that way where I come down. I always come across, and it's not.
Oh, you do a side one, huh?
Yeah, I do a side one, and it comes out cleanly. And you still kind of get that wrist action.
I do get. I
don't know if you can see me because you're not looking, but
more like two hands. If I do it like this and then, but that obviously it's a bad example of it. But I've gotten pretty clean with two hands when it's kind of secured down. But,
yeah.
But again, one hand I'm pulling just from one. Let me try from the. And then people are ask us like, "Oh, what do you do with the toilet paper?" I'm like, "Well, you use it." So this is something that you want to do. Well, I'm gonna try from the middle here. And that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I
think it also depends where your toilet paper.
Do the paperwork later, if you know what I'm saying. But you do a side version.
Yeah. Well. Like I was saying, I don't think you hear me. It depends where your toilet paper. I mean, for people who it's in front of them, like you're sitting down, like I am, and it's in front of you. Yeah, you could probably do that. Mine's on the side, so I can do that real easy. And my right hand's getting all the love, and my left hand, it's no good. Which
I guess how it is most of the time. Oh no, actually. Downstairs, my downstairs one's on my left side.
Oh, so there you go.
But I don't use as much. That one's like I'm gonna have to be hurting after a day of work to not make it
come in. Well, you have what? You have 3 bathrooms, right?
Mm-hmm. So that one's like a guest or again the one that typically I have my own throne room. That one's on the right, but usually I just kind of turn my body and
just whip it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess with talking about ambidextrous, this next drill will work, and this is more for cervical spine, and that's where I think a lot of hesitancy comes from. Is being quick with the neck and being comfortable with the neck, using a football or a rugby ball, and working on that I'm sitting here, so there we go. Where you can work left and right to work on that motion, that motion. You can also just pretend it's a head and work on your thrust. I don't know if you guys can see that. Is that better?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Or you can flick it and kind of get used to that speed.
Yep. If you watch like rugby play, like they're doing that all the time.
Yeah.
A little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, obviously they're throwing it, and there's much more of that going. So if you have someone to throw this to, go ahead. But if you're just by yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you want to work, and you can see my right is better than my left, and there's always going to be that difference with right hand and left hand dominances, but you can work on the two there, and that's a nice quick one there. Trying to think. Jerry, you mind if I share the screen here? I don't know if we have any more here, but I want to share with our audience. This was actually from the course at AMP that we did, and I'm actually going to give a shout out to Kyle Feldman, as he and I did this course, so I want to just give credit where credit is due. And this is something that he had come up with, and all the things that Jeremy and I had discussed: the slap game, pressing down the fabric, towel whipping, breaking the banana in half, ripping a sheet of toilet paper at the perforated line, whether it's ripping down like Jeremy was saying or ripping across like I was saying. And then big thing is to just keep practicing, whether it's these psychomotor skills that we give here, or practicing on patients, practicing on friends, family, aides, front desk, whoever it is. Let me stop sharing here. That's kind of the keys. So hopefully, these are some things that you can practice in this time when you have a little bit more time to learn a new skill set. Or maybe you're still treating in the clinic, but it's much slower. Now you have the time to kind of work on some of the skill set when you're not being jammed with 3, 4, 5 patients an hour.
Mm-hmm. Definitely don't practice this. You said practice on people. Don't practice towel whip game on aides. That's a fancy way to get a lawsuit against you.
They won't be your friends. They won't help you out when you need it.
And how's what you say, Brad? How are you able to practice on your you have Kelly and everything like that living with you? I guess some people I'll tell students and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, just practice on your boyfriend, whoever's living with your roommates and stuff, and they hit that barrier of they won't let me. Do you have much of a trouble with that? Or like my own wife, again, we teach the courses and stuff. She won't take a cervical manipulation until a point where she's in dire need. She's like,
they say don't treat your friends or family, and that's more true than ever. And your wife doesn't let you manip her unless she's in dire need, and my girlfriend won't let me treat her unless she's in dire need, and then they want to listen. But yeah, they say that. So your question was, how do I practice my manual therapy or these drills that we went over?
Yeah, just I guess get more of your roommates or anything like that more on board, allowing you to do things.
Yeah, when I was first learning, I was at my first job, and I practiced probably a lot on the aides, and I believe 2 of the aides were in undergrad looking to get into PT school, so they were all excited. Plus, one was a volleyball player, so she, her body was always kind of achy, and she always wanted one, so that was that. And then the front desk girls were great because they're hunched over, they're here, they're stressed, they're always on the phone, they're at the computer, so they always look forward to having their next crack. But actually, I remember even before that, I worked with a guy, Mario. At the time, he was an aide. Now he's a marketer for another company in the area. We're still talking and everything. But I remember he came up to me, and I was like, he always knew I wanted to do it and liked doing it, but I wasn't that good at it. And I think I was like maybe a couple weeks into practice at that point, maybe a month. And he was like, I have a really bad headache. Can you think you could still do that manip? I think I got it on him once a few months prior when I was actually a student. And I was like, I don't know. And I was able to get it. And it was a downslope technique. At the time, I didn't know it was a downslope technique. I just knew, oh, there's a barrier, let me thrust, and we got it. And that was really the only one I knew how to do. And it probably wasn't comfortable for him, but it did the job where at least it got rid of his headache. And we got some cavitation, so we thought we did a good job. But looking back, it couldn't have been too comfortable, because I remember going to residency, and this was before you came in your cohort, and I was working with another guy, and we were supposed to do an upslope, and all I kept doing was the downslope. And he's like, "You're doing it wrong." I was like, "No, there's a manipulation." Like, I was like, well, I just didn't get the difference between an upslope and downslope. He had already been through it, so he was more seasoned at the time. So then I learned, oh, there's a difference with an upslope and a downslope, and all these manipulations aren't the same. So then that kind of got my interest even more so. But that was my practice. Yeah, I practiced on the aides and the front desk personnel a lot initially, and then once you get one, you get another one, and then you go home, practice on your mom or whatever the case is, and yeah, it just kind of happened over time. I think within definitely a couple weeks or month, I was very comfortable with doing them. But yeah, what about yourself?
I used what we use on the show is the sips here. That's pretty much how I bartered with people. I think during residency weekends, especially after because when you were done, I mean, I was hanging out with you a lot, but then we went on obviously for another semester.
We didn't do the cervical together. We did the
cervical,
lumbo pelvic together.
Yep, lumbo pelvic, knee, hip, ankle, and that sort of stuff. So when I was doing the cervical part, I would just invite my buds who live close to Philly. So I'd buy them drinks all night, and then I had beer in my hotel room, and then that was it. I was like, all right, you get to have the beer, and I get to practice this sort of stuff, and that's pretty much what I did. And then any parties or anything I'd have, or sometimes I don't recommend that, but at bars I was like practicing techniques and those sort of things.
Yeah, you got a couple in you, you're a little more relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't question anything, or they're having a good time. I don't recommend the bar thing so much, but yeah, that's pretty much what I did. And then I'd have like things at the house, and I'd be like, yeah, hey, you're gonna drink some, and then whipped out the table, and then one person would be like, "What you doing over there?" I'm like, just helping out so and so. And then one person became 2, 3, 4. One time I had a whole line. It was great. I was just like, yeah, well, I'm just doing this for practice. So
yeah, I think you said you whipped out the table. I think more therapists, if you're an orthopedic therapist and you don't have a table at your house, there's something wrong with you. I on Amazon for like $80.
Yeah.
In PT school, I think I was a second-year student, and I was like, I need to practice. Yeah, if you're serious about becoming a manual therapist, have one. I mean, it's just going to benefit you. You could see people at your house. It turns into a business thing as well over time. I didn't think of it like that in the beginning. I just knew I wanted to practicing it better. And then I think that's how I ended up starting my practice. Was I had a couple friends who who needed to get treatment, didn't have insurance. I tried to get them at my office, and the cash pay rate was too much. And they were like, hey, would you treat me at your house? For less money. I was like, sure, whatever. And then I started doing that, and you get 1, 2, 5, 10 clients, and you're like, yeah, I can do this on my own. So that was kind of the start for me, but we're kind of digressing a little bit, but yeah.
No, it's cool. No, I recommend to all my students, I'm like, you should get a table. But yeah, I think that's now that we're down memory lane, but I think that's some good tools and tricks to practice at home. Can't think of any other real good ones at the time. But yeah, hopefully you guys learned some stuff. I don't know if you have any last second advice there, Brandon.
No, I think we covered it all. I don't think there's any other ideas that really we go over too often. Those are the main ones that we cover and that we kind of preach. So yeah, just hopefully that brought you some value, guys. It's stuff you could practice. Oh, actually, I lied.
Oh,
there is one more. The foam roll one for lumbopelvic.
Oh, pull it out. Let's see it.
We had it set up and I totally forgot. All right. Give me 1 second. We'll reset this up. I should have done this when we were at the table the first time. All right. Jay, can you see me?
Yep.
Or not me, but the table?
Yeah. You can see the table. Mike. Let's get some pain posters in the back for everyone.
All right. So, lumbopelvic. If you don't have a patient to work on, this is a great way to practice the lumbopelvic side roll technique. I guess some people have maybe learned it as the $1 million roll, though that's not a friendly term apparently. So don't use that. But I wanted to, I guess, name some other names. Jared, is there any other names for this one?
Nah, I just know it's sideline lumbopelvic.
Sideline lumbopelvic, right? So take your long foam roll. I guess you could do the 18-inch one, but the 36-inch or 3-foot one is best. From here, you can log roll, and this is good because you need to be able to log roll your patient. So you have basically a log here, and you roll it towards you. That's what you should really do when you have the patient set up. You shouldn't really twist them and overlock them. That's actually very uncomfortable. And probably for another discussion here. But roll the patient here, or roll the log. You're going to have the pronator group here, which would be the pelvic region, probably the top of the pelvis. You can have this hand here because this would be in the axillary region, or the hand here like so. Have your hip up on where the patient's ASIS would be your pelvis. And now you're here, make your final minor adjustments, and thrust. So my thrusting force is down, and it's coming from my hips and knees. It's not me here and doing this ripping motion or shearing motion, which is actually very uncomfortable for a lot of patients. So if we get that patient, we want to be up on top of them and then have that drop down. And that's a great way to practice your timing and your rhythm with the lumbopelvic technique.
Mm-hmm. So I know I started off with that kind of shear, spread them apart, and that can get some cavitations. But if a lot of people already have pain with rotating and those sort of things, or into extension, that sort of stuff, and you just spread them out and just add your force and load to it, not the nicest thing to do. So that's when you take something that could be extremely beneficial in the manipulation, and you now made it counterproductive because they're sore, they're not tensing up because you're getting them into an uncomfortable position, and then
patients not starting. So
so
it's a good way to refine your techniques there with the lumbopelvic technique. So I think that pretty much covers most of the techniques. Obviously, there's different variations to other ones, but you master those. You got your upslope technique, and that's with the football drill. You practice the perforated line on toilet paper or paper towel, or the towel whip, and that becomes your radial head or scaffold or cuboid manip.
Mm-hmm.
You have the lumbopelvic. We went over the prone thoracic, and that's pretty much probably we know 30, 40 different variations, probably more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But we probably use the same, handful a majority of the time. So
yeah, definitely want to go with your bread and butter ones, and then as you become super comfortable with those and get your confidence up with those, then you start playing around with the other variations and stuff, and you can use them in those situations where a patient doesn't like a position so much, or you need to hit a specific area, a little bit more specific level or something of that nature. But yeah, definitely go with the bread and butter and just overall speed with things. That speed and improving your speed carries over into all manipulations. So something that everyone can work on, even us. But,
all right, guys, I think that's it.
That's it. So in wrapping up, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, maybe looking for more other, ways to improve yourself at home, or need some mentorship or anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. We're at Manips and Sips on Instagram and Facebook. Personally, I'm at The Decent Doctor and at Trifecta Therapeutics if you want to reach out to the company. Brandon's at Think Like a Fellow and at Pursue PT Now.
Yep.
Thank you for tuning in and hopefully gain some stuff. And cheers, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.